Hansi Flick's Barcelona tactics are becoming more clean at Barcelona, as we have seen his hand over the team already with the verticality and everything. But we are now starting to see him crafting a game plan where Barcelona are coming on stronger and stronger in all facets of the game. And we're going to discuss all of that in this video, and you will see exactly what I mean by that. As always, please do subscribe to the channel. It's going to help us a lot to get this family to grow. We are on our way to 8,000. Let's start with the video. In defense, after a while, we've seen that Yamal and Ferran Torres came closer in order to mark them, and Robert Lewandowski would sit on the single pivot that young boys had. Surprisingly, young boy didn't go to their fullback, instead they preferred to go long. But Barcelona was of course prepared for this. We also saw that Barcelona would press from an angle, maybe Ferran Torres coming in off of the left hand side, where Raphinha would go on, as well as Jules Kounde. And it seems as though Barcelona has sorted out the situation with the winger being closed down by Casado, or Kubarsi would jump up and close down the winger. So far this season, Barcelona's Highline hasn't been properly exploited by the opposition, as it seems that they want to go back slower and there's no pressure on the ball, which can be a huge problem. So there needs to be pressure, because if there's no pressure, a ball over the top is going to be easy, and these bigger teams is just going to slay Barcelona, and we're going to see a lot of goals. For example, this instance here, look how tight and narrow that line is. But when we are moving back, we are moving slower. In actuality, Raphinha should be going out to pressure the player on the ball to stop the delivery. The same here, look how narrow and how wide we are, and we are moving back slower, and Pedri is trying to put some pressure on as well. But in build-up, Barcelona also looked to split their centre-backs, and the number 10 joined their striker up top to create such a 4-4-2, where Pedri and Casado was also marked. It seems like Flick is becoming more and more conservative with the positioning of Kounde being a third centre-back, where they would often be in the half spaces combining with Balde and Lamine Yamal. This is with the vulnerability of the counter-attacks. Even Casado or Pedri would come into these areas also to create a back three as well. I think that Flick is going this way because of the threat of counter-attacks against Barcelona, because look at his average position. He's playing much deeper now, and I think there's a reason for that, because you can see that he's drawing players out of position, because this is normally where Casado or Pedri would drop, right? So that Lamine can cook his fullback one-on-one. You can also see that Pedri and Casado, they also become centre-backs in their own right as well. But Flick desperately wants to find a balance between his attack without being vulnerable at the back, and that's why you will see all of these tweaks, right? But I think it mainly revolves around the center, where you can see the movement of Casado and now Raphinha being added to that thing as well. But mostly it's the dropping from deep from Pedri and Casado, where they would control the game from these areas. So the first thing Flick is trying to implement is control. You saw a lot less riskier passes, and that is what I said last season, that our more talented players need to play deeper. The balance actually comes from Raphinha being the one that drops into these areas, leaving Casado in his position in order to stop these counter-attacks as well. So Raphinha is actually a midfielder now. The deep creator role is not only for Raphinha but also Lamine Yamal. I mentioned that a few videos ago, where he's going to come deeper. But if you look carefully, what did you see? You see a 2-3-5 situation going on for Barcelona. So a lot of control for Hansi Flick. I genuinely believe that when Hansi Flick find that balance of how we can stop these counter-attacks and at the same time get the movement going, Barcelona would be unbelievably hard to beat. I believe this is why Ferran Torres also started, right? But you did see that Casado was a little bit deeper, and you can see that in his average positioning as well, which allowed Pedri to go up a little bit higher and receive the ball in between the lines. I think the reason for this is because of ball control. Pedri is very good at receiving the ball, controlling it and attack. But Casado stays deeper because he's the one that's going to stop those counter-attacks. And think about XAVI as well. But we're starting to see now much less involvement of Robert Lewandowski also moving in between the lines. He's the one that's occupying the centre backs of the opposition. That's why you see Pedri and Yamal and Ferran or Raphinha as the ones that are dropping while the other ones runs ahead, which is a tactic within itself as well. Barcelona are now having so much movement because look at Raphinha and Balde running ahead, and look at Lewandowski and Pedri, or Casado in this case, that those are the ones that are open to receive the ball. So you get guys that are dropping towards the ball, and then you guys that are running ahead of the ball, because look at Ferran and Balde again, look at Robert Lewandowski also moving into that space. So there's so much movement, again, Ferran and Casado receiving the ball, and look at the movement from Robert Lewandowski and Raphinha in behind. So there's so much movement happening. But what this movement is doing, nobody can follow Ferran when he's dropping into the space, because Pedri and Yamal is already drawing players and creating the space in between the lines. And this is why Flick wants so many players there to receive. I want to stand still here for 30 seconds. Look at the amount of space that Pedri is in. Look at the gap between the back line and the midfield line. It's so big because of all of the movement that's taken place. You can also see here, look at the space Ferran Torres is just in behind the midfield, because the back line are pushed back so much higher. And this is why I absolutely hate Balde's positioning at the moment. He should be a lot higher, equal to what Lamine Yamal is doing. And look at the receiving of the ball. When Torres is dropping, Pedri is having the ball as well. You can see here again, when Balde is running, there's so much space in front of the back line. That's what the movement is doing to teams. And this is what I'm saying, it's going to kill them, knowing that they cannot do anything about it. Look at when Pedri drops deep. The guy that's just in front of the referee there, he wants to go out and pin Pedri, but he can't, right? And Ferran Torres, Flick is trying to fit this guy into this team, you know, because Flick wants to have as many guns as possible. But I really don't know what Ferran. Hansi Flick wants Ferran Torres to drop into these pockets of space like a number 10. And let's be honest, Ferran is good at doing that, right? He just doesn't have the end product. He wants him to move just in behind the midfielders, right? But I don't know what's going to happen when Dani Olmo is coming back running in behind ahead of Lewandowski and Yamal and all of these guys, right? And also creating these space for the likes of Pedri and Raphinha to get into. So, like I said, it's a good thing for Ferran, but Olmo is ahead of him. Frenkie de Jong just returned. I think Raphinha is more than likely going to go back to the wing, right? So I don't see where Ferran is going to fit into these areas, right? Because he's nowhere near what the other guys are doing, and he's not as explosive as Raphinha, right? He doesn't have the passing range that Raphinha has to start ahead of him on that left wing, right? But he is good. Let's be honest. We talked about this last season. He's good in this number 10, you know, dropping off with Robert Lewandowski pinning back the opposition. So he's finding this pockets of space now. And in this game against Young Boy, he was good at doing it. I think that is why he stayed on. But when Olmo returns, I don't know where Ferran fits in. But do let me know, guys, what do you think about the first half? I'm going to drop a video about the second half tomorrow, because we need to look in depth at how Barcelona totally changed once Pedri went off, right? Once Ansu Fati came on and all of these changes, because we look like a different team without Pedri, right? But let me know, what do you think about the first half, guys, or the whole game in itself. As always, please do subscribe to the channel. It's going to help us a lot to get this family to grow bigger. We upload weekly Barcelona content only. So if that's you, if you're a Barca fan, I know you'll love this channel. As always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. We will see you tomorrow in the next video.